it would be probably useful for me to kind of go through this thing, because I'm still trying to discover what happened. I feel still a little lost and bewildered, and I don't quite get it. And that's a common thing for me in my life, is that like some things, I mean, just politically, like I can't get how people don't see that politician's a liar. You know what I mean? I don't get it. And so for me, if I was going to write something, the concept of the title would be how I got into Scientology and why I got out. As a little kid, I'm talking about even before I could talk, I can remember being interested in people, really interested in people. And I was pretty shiny, and everybody wanted to, you know, pick him up and all this crap, and I didn't like that. And I could see people. I felt like I understood who somebody was pretty well as a little guy, and I didn't have any kind of, I might have had some judgment on it, but I didn't have a condemnation like, oh, I just thought, okay, that's Dad, not just Daddy, but oh, okay, that's that guy, and that's Uncle Gino, and this is this guy at the party, as a 3-4-year-old kid looking around. And at a certain point, I think, certainly before first grade, I became very, very interested in who am I? Not just, you know, oh, that's that guy I know, but I had some kind of a perception about a person. And so and as a little kid, I remember, because the way I could get how I perceived the people in front of me, whether it was accurate or not, I believed it was true, was kind of by looking into their eyes and saying who they are. And so I remember as a little kid looking in the mirror, really not looking at how do I look, looking and trying to say, who am I? And I would say, who are you? Who are you? You know, as a 5-6-year-old kid, I remember, 8 years old, was pretty intense. And I never got it. And I just thought, well, I guess that's the life condition, that you know, it's too hard to self-perceive. So this was a question that was always, you know, and then I went up, and as I was growing up, and I played the fool and did normal stupid things and drugs and whatever. But it was always something that was in the back of my mind, and I was always on a spiritual journey one way or another, you know, either some new age shit, not a lot of organized religion. By the time I was 14 or something, I'd kind of lost interest in that, you know, but I would read a lot, and even to the point where as a 21-year-old kid, I mean, I remember I was into this spiritual teaching of this one guy who was originally teaching in French, and I learned French just so I could read it in the original French. You know, so it was important to me, but it was all based on who am I? And it kind of, I guess, that Greek know thyself type of philosophy. So somehow I got into Scientology, which was, Bodhi Elfman was in my acting class. And my acting teacher, who's a big disseminator, Milton Kitselis, was ranting about some shit, and which was pissing me off because it was wasting class. It was like, nobody, you guys are auditioning me or something. He was pissed off, and he wanted more unmitigated just adoration, and he wasn't feeling like he was getting it. And in the middle of his tirade, I was sitting there, like, first thinking, who are these fucking people that are not, you know, flowing the correct amount of attention to the master? And then I looked and I said, I wonder if I am. And I said, do I trust Milton? And I said, you know what, I really don't. And that was kind of like a weird thing. I said, well, I don't. And I thought, who do I trust? I said, well, at least my parents. No, I don't trust them. And I was looking, I didn't trust anybody in the room. And then I had this realization, is I don't trust myself. And so in Scientologies, I found my ruin. I found my own ruin. And for some reason, because I thought, oh, well, let me try and trust somebody. Let me try and trust Milton, which is what he was yelling and crying about in this whole big speech. And I thought, well, I knew he was a Scientologist. So I said, Bodhi, I said, give me some book on Scientology. I was doing a scene with him. And oh yeah, and he was this nervous little kid at the time. And so he gave me this big fat book called What is Scientology? A lot of pictures. And so I took this book and I read it. I think I stayed up mostly of the night and I read the thing. I mean, I don't know if I got it word for word. I didn't clear all my MUs for sure. But I got through the thing. And I thought, okay, if that's true, fuck, I'll go clear. I'll try that. That sounds fine. So I gave Brody the book back the next day. I said, take me to that big castle thing. I want to check this shit out. So he's always very excited, He brings me in, and everybody's all excited, and they've greased the path because, I've been on TV and shit. And everybody's really nice. And I figured I want to do this Purif thing because I'd done drugs and I could feel them in my body. And I read the thing, what the Purif's supposed to do. I said, I had felt at that point like I hadn't done drugs for 10, 15 years, and I thought that was one of the biggest mistakes I'd made in my life. And I thought if this can really take that effect away, because I felt that I had lost some of the shine that I'd had by, I wasn't a drug addict, but I was a drug indulger. And so I go there basically planning on doing the Purif, but they've got to give this tour, and I must have gotten there at 10 in the morning, and I swear to God, I'm starting to go nuts. I've done tests. I'm on the cans with some lady. I'm like, fuck me, can I just buy this course and let's get going, And then they do this, thing, and they give me my personality test, and I was all on the top of the thing, and they're still telling me that I'm fucked up. And I'm like, look, and they want me to do this. Finally, they go through I must have been there 8 hours. I'm ready to pull my hair out. And they say, you should do some little course called Ups and Downs. I said, look, I'll do the course if I can I just do the Purif thing? Yes, and you have to do the TRs and objectives first. Or with it. What's that? That's this course that I said, fine, just let's go. So I buy the course. I say, I've been here. It's like 8:30 at night. And I said, can I start? And I had to get a little oral surgery, so let me do something. I came here for some Scientology. All I got was all this, everybody's selling it to me. I never got to do any, right? Because I wanted to try the shit. And so now it's 8:30, and I say, okay, they say, well, you can start your TRs course. You'll do the TRs, you do and the TRs are these communication drills. Then you do the Purif where you clear all the drugs out, and then you do the auditing, which is called objectives, which is like this stuff where you walk across the room and touch the wall and all this kind of shit. And it's supposed to, the end phenomenon is firmly rooted in present time. I said, that doesn't sound bad, I'll do it. Okay, if you can deliver that. Cool. So I said, well, give me some Scientology. For Christ's sakes, I've been here since, 9 hours or something, getting nothing. So they say, okay, you can start your TRs course. So I go in, and I do this thing called an M7, which is basically Bodhi and the supervisor are kind of helping me clear the words through. And the first thing I ever did in Scientology was read Keeping Scientology Working, which is a pretty heavy bulletin.
Yeah, explain what that bulletin says.
Well, it's that basically is that Scientology, it's a very interesting bulletin. At first, it's updated. So you're reading the updates. I think it was written in 1965, and it was updated in 70 and 75. And those updates are before you read the actual bulletin, and the updates are like L. Ron Hubbard just going bananas. This thing is true. It was true in 1965. It'll be true forever. If you just follow this, Scientology will never fail, and it will take over the universe and will save all mankind, and we're the only hope for the world. So just if you apply this one policy, everything will be fine. Now, in the bulk of the fucking policy is stuff of, it's pretty heavy, that if you're in Scientology an inch, you're in an ounce. I mean, you're in for the rest of your, this is the billion-year contract shit. This is the heavy Scientology. We are the only hope for mankind, and whether you get it or not, it's the truth, and we're not here to placate you. We're here to try and save the planet, and they're the only hope for mankind, and so this is no game. So that was the first thing I got. I said, okay, we'll see. I couldn't say, I believe that, but It was an interesting, bold claim that made me say, okay, all the more, is this shit really that good? Let's go.